Greetings, everyone. GleeCon here again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. So, we are on our last episode. We wrapped up like a few chapters of Arthas. The first part of Arthas: Rise of the Lich King. We saw him kind of have his beginning friendship with Jaina Proudmoore. We saw him have the death of Invincible, and then we saw him become inducted into the Paladin Knights of the Silver Hand, with a little foreshadowing at the end, like, this kid is a little unhinged. So we are now moving forward. We have only a couple years left, a couple sections in Chronicles left before we're really getting into the Third War. But before we do that, we're going to read this entire novel, The Lord of the Clans. This is another one by Christy Golden. We've read a few by her at this point. And then we'll wrap up the first chapter of Chronicles, which is really just a couple. And then we'll do a little novella by Chris Metzen, which is like a little 8-chapter thing. So it's not going to be that long. But we can't... That one, you can't find it to buy. Like, I searched. We're going to have to bootleg it like we did... Maybe it was Beyond the Dark Portal. I can't. No. Just Tides of Darkness. Whichever one. There was one. Some of these are very hard to find. At least Beyond the Dark Portal. Had I really wanted to, I could have gone on like eBay and ordered it from like England and then scanned it and read it. That was a lot of work, and I feel like it would have reduced the quality. Whenever I can, I am trying to give these authors their due to purchase the book, but. Sometimes it's just such an inconvenience, or in the case of the Chris Metzen one, it's impossible. I couldn't find it anywhere. Maybe if I really, again, went to eBay and found somebody to sell me. I don't even know how many print run they did. But anyway, that's for the next time. So this is about as long, actually, I think exactly as long as the last book we just read, The Day of the Dragon. And this should be our last full novel. Before we start the content of the war. That doesn't mean that we're not going to read some things during and while we're building up to that, but this is the last full novel leading us to the Third War. And this is called Lord of the Clans by Christy Golden. I talked about it on a previous episode. There was going to be an adventure game set, I think, from the perspective of Thrall. After Warcraft 2, Beyond the Dark Portal, and before Warcraft 3. And they got to pre-production, they started getting into production, and then it was canceled. I think they wanted to consider everything that was going to happen in that game canon. We talked about it some in Chronicles, and this is the novelization of that. So this was still available as part of the Blizzard Legends series. And you can tell one of the things about Blizzard Legends is that the artwork is... not the best. I'm not going to read this because I have a feeling that this is going to be an excerpt from the book, but let's just keep this in mind. I will not be here long. See if you can take me, whelp. I do think they also came back and they came back to that idea of a point-and-click Thrall experience by the very last chapter of Warcraft 3, because from what I understand, that's what that one's like. Sam Didier, I don't know that we've seen his art, but it's similar to some of the other ones we've seen. So this one came out originally in 2001. So that would put us a few years before World of Warcraft came out. I think World of Warcraft came out in 2004 or 2006. I think maybe 2006. Probably this came out right before Warcraft 3. This book is dedicated to its holy trinity: Lucian Diver, Jessica McGivney, and Chris Metzen. I don't know who the first two are, with their appreciation for their enthusiastic support and unwavering faith in my work. All right, Christy. And Lord of the Clans. We're just going to read the prologue. Sorry for talking so long, but I just felt like this book required a little bit of context. They came when Gul'dan called them, those who had willingly, nay, eagerly, sold their souls to the darkness. Once they, like Gul'dan, had been deeply spiritual beings. Once they had studied the natural world and the orc's place in it, had learned from the beasts of forest and field, the birds of the air, the fish of the rivers and oceans, and they had been a part of that cycle, no more, no less, no longer. These former shamans, these new warlocks, had had the briefest taste of power, and like the barest drop of honey on the tongue, found it sweet indeed. So their eagerness had been rewarded with more power, and still more. Gul'dan himself had learned from his master Ner'zhul until student had finally surpassed teacher. While it had been because of Ner'zhul that the Horde had become the powerful, unstoppable tide of destruction it presently was, Ner'zhul had not had the courage to go further. He had a soft spot for the inherent nobility of his people. Gul'dan had no such weakness. The Horde had slain all there was to slay in this world. They were lost with no outlet for their bloodlust and were turning on one another, clan attacking clan in a desperate attempt to assuage the brutal longings that flamed in their hearts. It was Gul'dan who had found a fresh target upon which to focus the Horde's white-hot need to slaughter. Now they would soon venture into a new world, filled with fresh, easy, unsuspecting prey. The bloodlust would rise to a fever pitch, and the wild Horde needed a council to guide them. Gul'dan would lead that council. He nodded to them as they entered, his small, fire-hazed eyes missing nothing. One by one they came, called like servile beasts to their master, to him. They sat around the table, the most feared, revered, and loathed among the entire Orcish clans. Some were hideous, having paid the price for their dark knowledge with more than just their souls. Others were yet fair, their bodies whole and strong, with smooth green skin, stretched tight across rippling muscles. Such had been their request in the dark bargain. All were ruthless, cunning, and would stop at nothing to gain more power. But none was as ruthless as Gul'dan.
"We few gathered here,"
began Gul'dan in his raspy voice,
"are the mightiest of our clans. We know power, how to get it, how to use it, and how to get more. Others are beginning to speak out against one or the other of us. This clan wishes to return to its roots. That clan is tired of killing defenseless infants."
His thick green lips curled into a sneer of contempt.
"This is what happens when orcs go soft." "But, Great One,"
one of the warlocks said,
"we have slain all the Draenei. What is there left to kill in this world?"
Gul'dan smiled, stretching his thick lips over large, sharp teeth.
"Nothing," he said, "but other worlds await."
He told them of the plan, taking pleasure in the lust for power that was kindled in their red eyes. Yes, this would be good. This would be the most powerful organization of orcs that had ever existed, and at the head of this organization would be none other than Gul'dan.
"And we will be the council that makes the Horde dance to our tune,"
he said at last.
"Each one of us is a powerful voice, yet such is the orcish pride that they must not know who is truly the master here. Let each think that he swings his battle axe because he wields it, not because we are commanding it. We will stay a secret. We are the walkers in the shadows, the power that is all the more potent for its invisibility. We are the Shadow Council, and none shall know of our strength."
Yet one day, and that day soon, some would know. All right, so we have here, this is obviously before they move through the Dark Portal. So this is before the first war even happens. The Shadow Council came into being not before the entire Draenei were taken over, because before they finally snuffed out the Draenei at the Black Temple in the final standing place, the final stand for the Draenei, they had already formed the Shadow Council, and then they made that the new seat of power. So that's okay. You could do a little hand waving and say, well, they're saying the Draenei are defeated right here, but really, yeah, that's a little dicey. So this, I'm guessing this happens maybe before Lord of the Clans. I mean, not Lord of the Clans, before the Rise of the Horde. It's possible. Also, considering we're doing things that are taking place well after this expansion to the second book game, I'm curious as to why we're going back so far. Because right here, yeah, some would know of their strength, because it says we are the Shadow Council and none shall know of our strength. Well, Orgrim, I guess, finds out. So maybe this book is setting up Orgrim as the leader, and we're going to call back to how he had discovered the Shadow Council. Maybe part of this book will be recovering that. I don't know. So the last book, The Day of the Dragon, was 21 chapters. This one's 20 plus this prologue episode we're doing. We already did about the author, yeah, and we'll start the first chapter next time. All right, so we got another episode in the pipe, 5x5, and we'll be actually getting into the real meat of this book, the Lord of the Clans, on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft. Thanks for watching. See you next time.